Bears Nation, Mason Nation, welcome back and bear down. We are here, Free Talk Tuesday, episode 9. Yes, I've been off for a little bit. I haven't made a video in, 5 days now. It's been my biggest gap since I started this, guys, and I'm probably going to take a little more time off. We revamped a lot. We did a lot leading up to the draft. I have a lot of thoughts of things I need to get out to you guys, but I've fallen behind on other things. This isn't my full-time gig, and it's not pulling in the income yet. So, and you guys are great. That has nothing. Let's have some free talk here. Let's have some free talk. This is fun. I really enjoy doing this, but right now it's a passion and a hobby. And I feel like I want to share some things with you guys on the statistical insights, on my views on things, because really that's what this nation is about. This Bears Nation is about, this community. And I've been able to connect and meet so many awesome people, and I love every second of it. But now that we're done with the draft, I need to slow down a little bit. So it won't be a crazy amount out. When we have things like the schedule release come out this Thursday, I'll make a video. When we have signings, I'll make a video. I'm going to keep the weekly podcast up. Swifty and I have talked repeatedly about doing a weekly video, doing something. I keep up, daily. I read stuff. I'm researching constantly. It's ridiculous how much I'm consumed by this Bears team. But I do need to take a little step back. As you've seen the last, week, I made my video last week, made one more video on Jamry Chroma. And then I spent this entire last weekend with my girls and really just disconnected from social media as much as I could. And I enjoyed it a lot. So we've got holiday coming up. We've got summer coming up, summer break for the girls. So we're going to spend a little bit less time here, except when there's breaking news and on the podcast stuff. So I'll still be around, and I plan on being around for a long time to come. So I just want to thank you all for your support. This has been a lot of fun, and I'm going to keep it up. I have a lot of breakdowns I want to do, especially these undrafted free agents. We've got the 10 of them, and then all the mini camp tryouts. There's like 13 or 14 guys. There's going to be more guys. I'll bring you that when it comes this next weekend. I will still be doing that stuff, but there's going to be a little bit of a step back from where we've been, because I was pumping out 5, 7, 10 videos a week during some of that craziness, because this was the biggest offseason we've ever had as Bears fans. This was crazy, and it didn't disappoint. Man, we nailed it. And there's so much we can talk about post-draft, and we have talked about it, but we nailed it. We absolutely nailed it. And I'm so excited. So that's the big thing we're going to go through today. We'll do a couple of things about the schedule coming up. And then I want to, and it's going to take a while, so I want to keep this between 45 minutes and an hour. So let's get right into it. I want to break down some of the nerdy statistical things about how I see the team, whether we improved, whether we digressed, which areas we improved, which areas we really need to focus on still. I'll even throw in where some of the old players from this team have gone, and then some undrafted free agents. So let's talk about the roster today. Let's talk about where we are, because we're going to hit minicamp really soon for this team. We're going to hit the rookie minicamp, and then OTAs hit. We're going to have some signings in between there. We still have about 17-ish million. That's not exact, because there's so many things that can happen. Cutting Larry Borum, cutting Travis Homer, cutting Kerry Blasingame. Jatiri Carter won't save us any cap space. But there's some cap space moves that will save us a little bit of cash. So we're sitting roughly, I'm going to say around 17 million is probably what you can expect from us. Will Ryan Poles run into the season with 6 to 8 million? Will he run in with 10 million? What are we going to attack? Because there's so many things that we can still do with that cap space, and I do expect a move or two. And don't start telling me Yannick Ngakoue, because guys, I'll lose my crap on you. I didn't want him in the first place. When you see the stat breakdown of him today, you'll say, yeah, that might not be the best pick for us to bring back, especially with the potential we have of other guys in those positions. So let's pull this up and let's look at it. Let's break it down. All right, before we do that, first though, Free Talk Tuesday, episode 9. Thank you for being here, the roster discussion. First, let's talk about Caleb Williams for a minute, because the things that you keep hearing about him just continue to impress over and over and over again. And it is kind of crazy. I mean, really, how much slander? And yeah, I fell into it, guys, because when you are the number one overall pick, there's going to be that slander. There's going to be the people who just create stuff just because, and there was so much. But you hear the more and more stories come. I mean, several stories this week. Like, his dad told the story about when he was like, I don't know, 11 or 12. This is off the top of my head, just trying to remember. But he was like 11 or 12, and his parents accidentally still had his phone app open on their computer so they could see it, and this girl texted him. I don't know, maybe he was 13, maybe he's 14. I don't know. But he was a young man. And the girl said, hey, call me. And his parents are like, his mom's like, you need to be asleep. He's supposed to be asleep. His dad's like, yeah, I know. And his response was, I can't. I got to train in the morning. Like, he's been motivated his whole life. And then you see him at the Cubs game. You see him embracing it, soaking it in. He's got everybody there with him. Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet. Several linemen, the entire team, they're all rallied around him. And what Ryan Poles was saying about his character and about how his teammates love him, and that's the other thing. The story that came out about the Heisman, how apparently when he won the Heisman that year, he hijacked it and told them, I'm not coming unless you guys allow me to bring my linemen. I didn't know that story until this week. And then he brought his linemen, he paid for them, and then he ended up having every one of them stand up, and he recognized them and brought attention to them. Like, the stories that keep coming out about him are just the motivational stuff, the team player stuff. More and more, I'm impressed with him every single day. So that's why I chose this picture to be the front of it. They talked about how he came for his top 30 visit. They took him to dinner. These were the guys that went to dinner with him, apparently, reportedly now. TJ Edwards, leader of the defense. Cole Kmet, tight end. DJ Moore, a wide receiver leader. And then Tevin Jenkins, which I thought was pretty neat because he's on a contract year. Are we going to extend him? They thought of him as a leader of the team, so they brought him with. I thought that was pretty fun to see. All right, so we're going to run through this quick because I like the way we created this graphic. I don't know if Jake Curhan is on here anymore. You'll see in my future stuff what I put out here today. You'll see. But here's the offensive line. Here's the offensive playmakers. The ones in orange are guys that are signings, undrafted free agent signings. But you've got quarterback, wide receiver, slot receiver, tight ends, wide receiver, running back. We still need another tight end. Where's that going to be filled from? Possibly Mercedes Lewis. I don't know. We'll talk about that some more. And then here's the defense. You got your defensive line. Still need a defensive interior, possibly another defensive interior edge. But you've got all these guys below. You can pause this if you want. I'm going to try to fly through this a little bit quicker because there's a lot to go over today with the nerdy stuff that I like to do that I think you guys might like, seeing it broken down the way that I've put it on paper, because I always do this stuff every year. That's why I started this channel, because I've always put an excessive amount of stuff into this team, and I always track stupid stuff like their grades and their pressures and stuff like that, and that's why I started arguing with people about, no, we don't want Yannick Ngakoue. And anyway, so here we are. There's the defensive line. Here's the defensive secondary: Tremaine Edmonds, Jack Sanders, TJ Edwards, Noah Sewell backing them up. Kevin Byard and Jonathan Owens alone are a huge upgrade for this secondary. Jaquan Brisker. And your nickel, Kyler and Greg Stroman backing him up. And then the corners, you got Tyreek Stevenson, Jalen Johnson, and Terrell Smith behind them. Reddy Stewart. We might do a video on Reddy Stewart, guys. He might be a sneaky little grab for us, especially with the nickel spot not being shored up. Being able to compete for that, I can see him being, number one, a stud on special teams. Like, he absolutely would knock some people around. And number two, a great rotational guy there at nickel if we need him. So there's some stuff to consider there with Reddy Stewart. Might do something on him. But here's the other big thing. This is the final year contracts. Really, there's only 6 guys that might really be guys that we really need to worry about this year. You got Keenan Allen, and Ryan Poles has already said he's not going to focus on getting him an extension before the season starts. He wants to see him play with Caleb Williams, see how the team develops, and really think about it. Next year, we've got a first, 2 seconds, possibly 2/3. That's 5 picks in the first 2 days. One of those very easily. I mean, think about it. Defensive end, defensive interior, nickel corner, possibly safety, and wide receiver, center. I mean, so out of all those positions, and guard, I mean, all those 7 positions of need and 5 day 1 and 2 picks. I mean, we're in great shape, guys. So you would expect on a team this stacked to have more final year contract situations. Jack Sanborn, I would expect to get one. Tevin Jenkins, if he stays healthy, absolutely will get one. Khalil Herbert, I would like him to get one, but that running back position might not be the premium position. Greg Stroman is a great backup nickel, but is he really, if it's a team-friendly contract, I have no problem with that whatsoever. I think Coleman Shelton really just a one-year rental in my opinion, so I don't see a big need there. But this is where we stand. So those one-year final contracts, we're in good shape. All right, so let me pull up. Let's get into the upcoming dates and then get into the Excel spreadsheet, the nerdy stuff that I like to share with my roster analysis. So let's get into that. All right, so let's look at the upcoming dates of things that are coming up. In fact, let's remove me from that. All right, so the NFL schedule release is the 9th, this Thursday. We'll do a little something for that. You remember last year the Bears did a video of them cooking and being in the restaurant, Chef Pole's cooking. Probably do something similar to that if Chef Pole's is still cooking it up. I want to see something new. I want to see something fun and exciting. It's fun to see which teams do the best thing for that. So we'll release that on here as soon as it's available. I will make something for that. I'm excited to see because I want to see where the Cardinals, what day the Cardinals game is, what day the Colts one. My buddy's a Colts fan. We plan on going to Indy for that game, and then what day the 49ers game. And then I'm probably going to pick another one for Soldier Field. I haven't been for a while, so I want to go. So we'll see when those things come out. And then right after that is the rookie minicamp. And that's where you're going to get the invitees. Other than the 10 signings we had, the invitees for that, a couple wide receivers. I'll post the list here. You guys can see that. And then right after that, the rookie football development program begins. And then the OTAs, the 20th through the 21st, 23rd, 28th, 29th, 31st, and then June 4th through the 6th of the mandatory minicamp. Then I put stupid break on here, but it's not stupid. I appreciate that break now. I got a lot of stuff I need to get caught up on. And then my little girls, we're going to take some trips. And then you got preseason officially beginning with training camp. And then you've got the Hall of Fame game, and then you've got preseason, and then we're into it, guys. We're into the thick of this before you know it. So it's going to be huge. So that's the upcoming stuff going on, and it's hitting fast. It's about to go down. And if you guys didn't see the stuff with the rookie mini camp, Caleb Williams is actually really excited to get going on that. So much, I mean, as I said before, so much to be excited about with him. He's so different than all the negative propaganda that was put out there on him. He's already preparing. He's already in contact with coaches. He's already, you watch everything on Waddle and Sylvie, and you watch the different people they have coming on there and talking about, how he was getting ready and how he's already got, his quarterback coach that's been working with him and other quarterbacks in the past, getting him prepared for Shane Waldron's offense. And now he's eager to get the playbook, and he's got it now, and he's working on it, and he's working with his teammates, and he's going to Cubs games, and he's going – there's just so much positive, and I'm excited that's going to kick off here with the rookie minicamp, so that'll be fun. All right, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of what I want to show you guys. And this is the nerdy stuff, guys. This is the stuff that let me get over to it. This is the stuff that I do that I know it's different. But hopefully you guys can enjoy part of it and pause it if you want to, kind of take some shots from it. Maybe I'll post some of this stuff on other stuff, but let me explain. This is the entire roster. Here's 2023's roster. Here's the Bears roster. Here's our roster now. And here's a little key to it. And there's different things. We'll go over different stuff of it. But this is what I'm excited about for this team, and I'll go over my thoughts on it. You guys can put in the comments your thoughts and your comments on things, and we can kind of go from there. But here's the key to it. The blue here in this area under snaps, the blue means they're a lock. And this is all based off my opinion, be it. Okay, so here's where it is. You won't see any reds on here because I'm not going to put them on my potential 53-man roster all the way down here if they're cut candidates. So you're going to see all the way down here some guys that I'm negative on, like Larry Borum. I'm not high on Larry Borum. He's a cut candidate to me, so I've got him off of my main roster. I've got Dominique Robinson off my main roster. Even though he's been a mainstay on this team, he has not been positive. You come over here and look, and he has been absolutely terrible on this team. So why would we keep him when we have other options? Orange is iffy. Will they make the roster? We don't know, but they're in prime seat to position and to fight for that, and so I've got orange as my iffy position. Then you've got red is cut candidates. You won't see the reds on here because they left the reds off because I don't want them on my 53-man roster. I think there's 48 here that I have listed. So there's really 5 spots here where we have guys that we could sign, where we could have competition, where some of these guys could come up. Maybe a Byron Cowart comes up and he competes and makes it in there. Maybe a Jake Curhan, maybe a Theo Benedict. I'm going to do a video on Theo Benedict, guys. I'm not going to do too much on here, but really when you watch his tape at British Columbia and really you watch the championship game from this last year, when you watch that, he's not the guy that stands out. The Lions drafted his teammate on the other side in the 3rd or 4th round, and Theo Benedict's developmental. So I like him here, but really his short arms, he could be a guy that we plan on bringing in and playing at guard, a Tevin Jenkins type of conversion from tackle to guard, but do it right away and see how he does. But he needs to put some weight on, put some NFL muscle on, and get some experience. He is a developmental guy, the undrafted free agent. I don't think he makes the roster, but he could definitely make the practice squad and be a guy that we develop. Anyways, I digress. Let's go back. So now the coloring of the player here, this is an upgrade from the prior year. And yes, Caleb Williams is an upgrade from Justin Fields. Yes, he is. Green means same player, but it's a positive that we kept him. Orange means same player, but it's not necessarily a positive, and I see it as a negative. I don't see the place for him on the team. And then red means a definite downgrade. And the only downgrade here is Keith Randolph. And that's not a knock on Keith Randolph. He's a rookie. He's an undrafted free agent rookie. Probably should have been drafted. He was a 6th, 7th round prospect. He's got a lot of potential. Same thing. He needs to put on some NFL weight, needs to be refined, but he has potential. To have him be one of our main 4 starting interior on day 1, that is a downgrade from Justin Jones. Now, Justin Jones is getting older. Not necessarily huge improvements from Justin Jones and not necessarily the wave of the future. So I can see why we didn't re-sign him. Would we have if we knew we weren't going to pick one up in the draft? I don't know. It's just how those things roll out. Is there really someone in free agency? Not someone that I'm really narrowing down on. So we'll get into that as we go over the defensive interiors. But there's options there because there's players like you look at DeMarcus Walker who can play interior and exterior. And Jamari Chroma, the same. He lined up 2/3 of the time out on the outside, the 7, the 9, the edge, out wide, and really only 1/3 of that time was up on the 3 tech. So Jamari Chroma is someone that could be. Let me make sure this is still flowing okay. Yep, that's still good. Yeah, so Jamari Chroma is someone that could definitely, fill that role of playing both. But the same thing, he's a rookie. So does he really come in day 1 and make that immediate impact? We don't really have that guy. And we're really weak on the defensive line as a whole. So anyways, let's go back to our beginning. So that's the color coding here. You've got an upgrade, same but negative, downgrade, and the jury's still out. Just means you have no clue. Is this going to be a positive? I don't know. And that's one thing right here. As we start with quarterbacks, all 3 of these guys are super young. I mean, but we've got another gem in Austin Reed. I mean, he was the number 1 out of consensus of those that weren't drafted. He was the number 1 quarterback that teams thought was the best or that scouts thought were the best. And he came to us. So is there potential there? He's not going to surpass Caleb Williams or Tyson Bagent. Even Tyson Bagent, if you didn't see on Waddle and Sylvie, no, it was on NBC Night in Chicago. They had Tyson Bagent and his dad on, and it was actually really good. Tyson Bagent knew his role, and he said all the right things about Caleb Williams. He praised Caleb Williams, a sharp kid, super talented, very athletic, mental, like super strong mentality, and there's a reason he was drafted 1-1 overall. And with my limited role that I had, I'm going to keep working every day. And if you haven't seen his offseason workouts, like he is a madman. He is working for this, and he wants it. And it's not just in the gym. Like he's been in the playbook too. So, and it sounds like he wanted to get it from Waldron as soon as they got it too. So I love that. I love the competitive edge. And he knows he's on a 3-year contract. As an undrafted free agent, you're on a 3-year contract. Then you're a restricted free agent. Will the Bears re-sign him? I don't know. Will they trade him? That just comes down the line. Do we develop Austin Reed? Do we pick someone else up? You hear the rumors about Ryan Tannehill. We've got Brett Rippon. I don't see Brett Rippon making this team now with Austin Reed here, but really the only reason he would is because of the experience, because of the film room presence, because of the quarterback room presence. And is that enough to keep him with these three guys? And really, Austin Reed is probably a practice squad guy, but is he going to turn into a Tyson Bagent where you don't want to put him on the practice squad and have him be stolen? The jury's still out. So I don't know. So this is where I look at the quarterback room right now, and I don't see really a spot for Brett Rippon. Could we keep him on our practice squad? Of course we could. I mean, really, that might be where he ends up so he can stay in the quarterback room. Or is there another veteran out there? I don't have one in mind. We're not going to pay for Ryan Tannehill in my mind. And Caleb Williams is 1-1, and he's got enough circle of influence. He's got so much circle of influence that I think he's got people that can help him if he struggles with anything in the quarterback room. So I'm not too worried about having that quarterback presence. I think Williams is different than most rookies that come in. Let me explain this real quick. So, yes, Justin Fields improved every year. This isn't a video to rehash the whole Justin Fields thing. But Justin Fields, there's the snaps for the year. Tyson Bagent snaps for the year. Nathan Peterman snaps for the year. These are PFF grades. This is what I always preached. He was improving. His adjusted completion percentage, his NFL passer rating, his touchdowns to turnover ratio. So for the year, and I put 3-1, 4-1. So this is where you want a top 10 quarterback to really compete for a Super Bowl. If you're going to compete for a Super Bowl, you got to have a top 10 quarterback. And the rest is going to come down to the rest of the team and the defense. And Justin Fields was not a top 10 quarterback yet. I always thought he could get there. But now we have someone that surefire could be. Absolutely, day one, Caleb Williams can be a top 10 quarterback, especially with this team, especially with these wide receivers. Look at this wide receiver room. That's a sexy wide receiver room. Anyways, so he can day one. But this is what you want out of your quarterback to be considered a top 10 in each area. So PFF grade 85. So yes, while he was improving, he was not near that 85 PFF grade. His adjusted completion percentage needed to be around 77 to 80%. He was creeping up there, but the whole point of the whole Justin Fields thing is we wanted the haul. Well, we kind of did get the haul, and the draft ended up being much more spectacular than any of us expected, I think. So we're moving past that now, but NFL passer rating was not getting 95 to 100. That was really the big weakness for him. And then his touchdown interception rate should be around 4-1, but his touchdown to total turnover should be 3-1. And really, he was 1-1 this last year and negative the year before. Same with Tyson Bagent, though. You can see Tyson Bagent, a lot of fans really loved him, and they thought because he went 2-2 that it was some spectacular thing. But really, a great quarterback, and even I think Justin Fields could have gone 3-1, 4-0 on that stretch. Should have, but he was a rookie. So I think he came in and played admirably, but really the Saints game is the big hurting factor there. So improvement, though, out of a rookie, you want to see improvement, and I think he's definitely doing that. So there's a lot to like about what you saw about Tyson Bagent this last year, and I think he's going to be a very quality quarterback too. Before I go any farther, I'm going to explain this. This is, and a lot of fans like this. So let's hurry and go through this real quick. There's a lot of rambling on Free Talk Tuesday. Let it be what it is. Catch what you like from it. If you like, simple entertainment on your way to work or, listen to a podcast. That's what a lot of this is. A lot of random thoughts, but me talking through it. If you haven't tuned into Free Talk Tuesday before, that's what this is. A lot of free talk talking about this team and adding a lot of my stats and my compiling stuff together because that's why I started this channel and that's the nerdiness of it. So what this is this was his year before 2023, so 2022. So you see guys like Tyson Bagent wasn't around for 2022. So on each of these, you'll see that. And the same over here. Here's the year before, not applicable because he was a rookie. And this is where his 2024 will go. So this is 2023, 2024. There's 2022. There's 2023. Here's 2023. So you can see it converted over. All right. So this is how they actually did for 2023. And that's why it says actual. So that's how they did compared to the year before. All right. So as we go through the rest of them, you'll be able to understand that as we go down the line. So new teams. A lot of people like this. So let's take a minute and just go through the new teams for these guys. It's kind of fun. You got Justin Fields, who's gone to the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got Nathan Peterman, who is now on the Saints. You got Deonta Foreman, who is on the Browns. And I know a lot of you guys like Deonta Foreman. We'll get into that here in a second. But that's the reason Deonta Foreman's not on the team. It wasn't some personal agenda. He was a liability at the end of the year. He caused so many pressures, caused so many problems. You couldn't have him in the game because he could not pass block. So here on the running backs, this is PFF grade. For rushing, yards per attempt after contact. After contact is big for me, so that's why I do that here. And then the receiving yards after contact or after catch. So their yak as a receiver running back. And then their pass blocking ability is, it's a different NFL now. I think more than one role for running backs. That's a huge role for them. And that's a big reason Kerry Blasingame is still here. And I liked Darrington Evans for that reason. I wish we would have kept him. I like Darrington Evans, but he's on the Bills now. Deonta Foreman's on the Browns. Good riddance. I know a lot of you guys like Deonta Foreman. He wasn't worth it. He was a liability. We go down the line. Wide receivers. Equinemius St. Brown is now with the Saints. We're just going to quickly go through this because I know a lot of you guys are curious where some of these guys have gone. Chase Claypool is with the Bills. Trent Taylor is with the Niners, the return specialist specifically. Kind of crazy that Luke Getsy had him out there on the edge blocking. It was so crazy when that happened. All right, as we go down here, Mercedes Lewis could very well come back to the Bears. I can see that happening 100%. Let's see what else is out there. I think we might be targeting like a Mo Alley Cox after a post June 1st cut candidate that he would save them quite a bit of cap space. Robert Tonyan, I don't see him coming back. He's a free agent as well. Get down here. Cody Whitehair is now on the Raiders. And really, just a big regression year. Just a really negative year on all aspects from him. We'll go through what all these mean. Sorry about that. For the wide receivers, PFF grade, drop percentage, contested catch percentage, and their total yards they had for the year. Running backs, I did that one already. Tight ends, PFF grade, same as the wide receivers, except I've got their block grade instead of their instead of their yards for tight ends. And then offensive line, you've got PFF grade, plays between pressures allowed. All right. So on this, your tackles on the outside are going to allow more pressures than the inside. That's just the way it works. Your edges are the ones creating all that pressure on the outside. And that's typically just historical how it works. More pressures from the outside than the inside. You've got outside or inside out working that way. So for your tackles, they should be allowing your really good ones 20 pressures or plays between a pressure. And so, yeah, you see Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones, not significant numbers there. Some of that is caused by Justin Fields, if we're being honest with ourselves, but not the best year for either one of them. Excuse me. So that needs to improve. So as you go from outside in, about 20 would be really good. Guards should be between 25 and 30 to be really good ones. 25 is really good. And then centers, 30 and above is really spectacular. We're talking about elite levels, though. So if you're between 15 and 20, you're pretty average here. If you're between 20 and 25, well, around 20, you're pretty average here on guards. And if you're around 25, you're pretty average on centers. So we're not really set on that position. And then the same on defense. We'll go over that too. So you see Cody Whitehair, and he and Eddie Jackson, we'll give a props again here to those two guys. I mean, Pro Bowl caliber years in the past, but you see the regression. He had to go. PFF grade 65 down to 45. That's a huge dump. I mean, that's a turd. That's bad. And then Dan Feeney came in 51 to 44, and then really a lot of pressures allowed. Very poor run blocking grade, pass blocking grade are the other two categories here. You guys can pause these if you want. You can check them out, look it over. Lucas Patrick is a free agent. Dan Feeney is now with the Vikings. Yannick Ngakoue is a free agent. And then on the defensive side, it's a little bit opposite. The pressures between plays created. So the edges, you want to be below 10. Yannick had a bad year, and then his missed tackle percentage was absolutely terrible. I was not advocating for him to come here, and he played terrible. So I really hope we don't bring him back. Montez Sweat is really, really solid, 7.2. I mean, historically, his pressures created are really, really low, and his missed tackles are ridiculously low. So for on the outside, you want your pressures to be, below 10 as far as created between plays. One every 6-7 plays is elite. So here at 8, it's really solid. And then your missed tackles, you want to be below 20 as an edge. even lower than that, even 15. So Montez Sweat is just ridiculous. 6.8 is ridiculous. DeMarcus Walker kind of went the opposite direction, but he was playing a multi-role factor, and really he's a complementary defensive end, and he's a really good one when he has someone like Montez Sweat across from him. But for half the season, he didn't have Montez Sweat across from him, so he struggled a little bit. And those numbers were a little higher because of that, but I think they'll come back down. Now, Rasheem Green is interesting because not spectacular on any aspect here, but he did block 2 kicks throughout the year. So, I mean, do we keep him as a special teamer? We'll see. And then on the interior, it's a little bit different. You're going to create less pressures, but if you can get that number down between 10 and 15, that's really good. So Justin Jones actually had a really good year there. But missed tackles should be around 10 to 15. It should be lower because you're on the inside. You don't have as much area to have to contain that missed tackle. And that wasn't a good year for Justin Jones on that. Andrew Billings had a really good year all across the board. You see that 11 plays between pressures. That's really good for an interior guy. And then Gervon Dexter had a spectacular year there too, but his missed tackles were a little bit high. You don't like to see that. So you did actually see a ton of plays where you're trying to get after the quarterback where you know their pass plays. Gervon Dexter was coming in for those, and Zach Pickens was rotating in more for the run plays between those 2-3 tech guys. So it was interesting to see how they line them up and use them. But Justin Jones is now on the Cardinals. For linebackers, Dylan Cole's a free agent right now, really a special team specialist. And then as we get down, JoJuan Williams, that was mid-year. We cut him. He didn't play much for us at all. So, none of these two aren't huge shockers. Really just temporary guys with. JoJuan Williams is with the Vikings, and Christian Matthews with the Ravens. Eddie Jackson, who, again, same as Cody White here, just kind of fell off. And so we'll go back for secondary. NFL pass rating allowed is the number here. And Tyreek Stevenson, if you missed my video on that, Tyreek Stevenson had a hell of a second half of the year. He played just as well as Jalen Johnson. This number right here is absolutely godly. I mean, this is crazy to see someone with a 33.3 NFL passer rating allowed. That's just crazy. I mean, you don't see that. That's why Jalen Johnson earned his bag. But he should have had a couple more of those. I mean, he should have had a couple pick sixes alone. So, I mean, kind of a bummer there. But receiving percentage, how much they received against 50% is really good. You think about it, quarterbacks want to complete 65, 70% of their throws. If you're allowing only 50, that's pretty spectacular. 65 was good. Tyreek Stevenson, I'm telling you, if you haven't seen that video, go watch. I think it's entitled the Bears cornerback room is stacked, something like that. And it really goes over the second half of the year with Tyreek Stevenson and how he really just had one hell of a year. Let me take this off. A little tight in my head. All right. So let's go through the last couple of guys, and then we'll go through individual places where the Bears stand now. Eddie Jackson's a free agent as we stand now, and A.J. Thomas was a free agent. He's actually with the UFL now. He's playing for, I don't remember who. It starts with an H. I don't follow the UFL that much. I'm not big into that yet. But so there's the team last year, and you can see a little bit of regression on some of these guys, some horrible regression on some of the other guys. Larry Borum needs to be off the team. Same thing with Ja'Tyre Carter. Same thing I said before. Just liabilities, just heavy liabilities. But let's look at this year's roster as our primary, and you can kind of compare them to some of the stuff in the past, like Deonta Foreman. That's why DeAndre Swift is a huge upgrade to me. But here is some of the guys that we have on the team now. I think I got 48 guys listed, so the room for 5. But as we go through each area here, these are all upgraded. There's not an area where this team went backwards. This team's rebuild is almost complete. So you look at these, and let's go through. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, 89, 86 PFF grade. That's ridiculous. To have 2 receivers like that and then to add Rome Odunze, who I'm saying year 1 should be 70s and 80s. I think he could lead the team in yards this year. He definitely could lead the team in contested catches. If you missed it, Ryan Poles talked about him like he is a DJ Moore that's bigger and stronger or taller. I might not have said stronger, but bigger and taller DJ Moore. So he plays a lot the same way. So that's really fun to see. Will Tyler Scott have a better second year than his first year? He really looked kind of lost a little bit, like someone who didn't feel like he belonged in the league. And it happens to a lot of rookies where they are mid-round draft pick, where they see a lot of these players that are better than them, and they feel kind of lost. They don't feel like they own the league like they kind of felt in college, like they can just dominate. So I want to see if he can take that next step. He's very intelligent, very smart guy. It seems like he understands the game. So I want to see if he can take the next step and really find a niche for himself without having the pressure of a wide receiver 3 put on him, because really that's what he was last year, was wide receiver 3 in every aspect of the game. He threw 439 plays played, so he played third most of anybody on the team. So it'd be nice to see him be able to have a more of a backup role where he doesn't have that pressure on him, to see if he can play a little bit better with that. Let's go down to the areas where I think the team needs to really put some work in. And number one would be tight end. Steven Carlson has been on the team for a couple of years. Does he make the team for special teams ability? I don't think he makes the team as a tight end. I really think someone like a Mo Ali Cox, or even bringing Mercedes Lewis back as the tight end 3, would be a solid move for us. You see 0 plays, but he did play special teams. Steven Carlson did. So he could have that same type of role on the team. Now, here's the big changes right here. And this is where we still have some questions that need to be answered. There still needs to be some improvement here, because the Bears did improve. You look at last year, Darnell Wright, Braxton Jones, Larry Bourne. Larry Bourne was a huge liability. This is pass or pressures between plays allowed. 9 pressures between plays. That's ridiculous. That's horrible. That's terrible. And then his run blocking grade was only 50, and his pass blocking grade was only 45. So bringing Kieran Almangaji in. Here's the thing, though. Let's talk about this line, because there's a lot here. There's a lot going on here. You've got Kieran Almangaji that was brought in, that he was clearly brought in to be the swing tackle. And that's what Ryan Poles said. But then you've got other guys like Theo Benedict. Now, I might do something on him. I might not. I don't think he makes the team. If you watch the tape from British Columbia, really, especially in their college championship game up north, it was his teammate that garnered all the attention. And it wasn't him, but he's won multiple, defensive lineman of the year across all of college football in Canada awards in 22 and in 23. Highly touted, shorter arms, and I really think they could move him into guard. Now, Matt Pryor I highlighted on here because, he's played tackle and guard, but this last year, only 42 snaps, and that's kind of the cutoff where I let the grade be on here, because that's like 3 snaps per game average. You see, for Ryan Bates, I didn't give him because he was only around 30, so it was a little bit lower, so I probably shouldn't have done either of them. But he played spectacular in the limited role with the Niners that he had. But is Theo Benedict an upgrade from that? Probably not right off the bat, but could he rotate in? We'd see. Ryan Bates, to me, is more of a guard. He played a full year at guard, and really last year he just played a couple snaps at center, but he played elite, kind of like Matt Pryor did in the limited role. They both had a limited role, but played very, very well in that role. Ryan Bates has 2 years on his contract. Coleman Shelton only has 1. This will be, I think, a rookie, or not a rookie, but a training camp battle. I think we don't know who the center is yet, but either one of them, even though it's blue and it shows they're an upgrade, I don't see them being a huge upgrade. You're still average at that position. Now, better than this, and now really Lucas Patrick didn't allow a lot of pressures, but he put a lot of pressure on his teammates around him. He put a lot of pressure on these guys, on the guards, by the way he played. He was a decent run blocker, but pass blocking was absolutely terrible. So he was a liability. Same with Dan Feeney, and Cody Whitehair, as you know, played center a little bit as well. And the same thing with him. Just this is definitely an upgrade, but how much of an upgrade? I don't know. We know Connor Williams is out there, but he's not going to be available till week 10, 11, 12. We'll see how the injury repair goes, how his body heals. There was talk about how serious his ACL tear was, that he could have to retire. He's only 26 years old. Connor Williams isn't even on that team, so I don't know how much he's worth talking about, but he's really the biggest center left. That would be a huge upgrade for us, as long as he can get healthy. And that's the thing, is can he get healthy? And if he does, absolutely, let's sign him. Let's 100% go for it and get him, because that would be huge. Signing 4 or 5 years. Let's lock him in for the whole 5-year duration of at least with Caleb Williams, because that would be a huge upgrade for this line. That would solve a lot of things, because you've got that solved. Then Ryan Bates can play more guard. Then you've got another guard option. Matt Pryor can play more tackle. And really, we need more tackle depth, but none of these guys are really solid answers. I don't see, that's why I have these guys here. I don't see any of them making the roster at this point. I don't see these guys making the roster. So we still need depth health here. You typically need at least 9 guys on the roster to start a year. And right now I've only got 8 listed. Here's 3 tackles, three guards, and 2 centers. That's only 8. And you need 9 or 10 that are going to be on your active roster on a weekly basis. So who's that going to be? I don't know. I don't know which one of those guys could be Theo Benedict. It's going to come down to camp, and Jake Curhan could have been brought in for that. But really, that's really where we have a deficiency still, is on the offensive line. So we still need a little help, even though we've overall upgraded quite a bit. I'm very much more comfortable with where we are. I think right now we're a 10 to 15 offensive line. If we sign Connor Williams near the end of the year, I legitimately think we're a top 5 to 10 line, as long as everyone stays healthy. And even if we don't, there's some decent depth. Matt Pryor and Ryan Bates are good depth pieces at both guard and at center and tackle, all across the entire situation there. So nothing too terrible to worry about. The other area that's the concern is right here, as we mentioned earlier, the defensive interior and into edge. Now we've got a solid edge. I mean, one of the best, in my opinion, edge. A good complementary edge who will play well with him here. I expect all these numbers to improve. These will be filled in with better numbers across the board because of him. Austin Booker is developmental, though. He needs to put some weight on, needs to get some NFL experience. But Jacob Martin played very well in the limited role, but really that was with more of a 3-4 system, not a 4-3 system. Will he convert that? Will that translate into the Bears 4-3 system? He's definitely going to make the team, in my opinion. How much we'll see. It's kind of a Yannick Ngakoue type of role to me. I see him being a liability with the missed tackles, but he has some good moves. So I'd like to see what happens there. But Jomari Chroma, I can see making the team because of his versatile role between interior and out, just like DeMarcus Walker. But he's not a polished product either, and there's a lot to work through there. Go watch my video on Jomari Chroma if you haven't seen that one. All right, we'll go down here. Everything here, I think Amen Ogbonjemega is an upgrade from Dylan Cole. That's to be determined. The jury's still out. And then you get here in the defense, and let's talk about the secondary for a minute here. So most of you guys know this stuff, but I'm just going to walk through it because that's what we're doing. We're discussing the roster today, okay? So Tyreek Stevenson and Jalen Johnson, lockdown corners. I love that those are our 1 and 2. I think we have 2 of the best corners in the league. You talk about our wide receiver room being among the best. This cornerback 1 and 2, I think, can compete with anybody in the league. They're not getting that credit. Tyreek Stevenson's been completely overlooked, but I think they're going to be a lockdown 1 and 2 this year, and it's going to leave the defense with a lot of 3 and outs. They're going to be stopping teams nonstop, and I love it. And it's really going to come down to how that defensive line can be stacked up and whether we do that, because teams, they ran on us a little bit last year. We had a good run defense, but the right teams knew where to attack us. If we can improve that defensive line, we've got lockdown corners on the outside. Then you've got Kyler Gordon in the nickel. And really, this is our weakness right here, is our nickel and our backup nickel. Neither of them are bad. I like both Kyler Gordon and Greg Stroman. I like them both. You can see Greg Stroman had a little regression, but really not much. When you look at it, his NFL passer rating against him, still right around the same. His receiving percentage, right around the same. More than you want that to be, and his turnovers was the same in the limited role. Not fantastic, but he's a backup. Kyler Gordon improved. This is year 1. This is year 2. He was a rookie 2 years ago. Second year last year, and those numbers did get significantly better, but he needs to make that improvement again this year. He needs to be making that next step where this number needs to be down below league average, needs to be in the 50s, 60s, low 60s, 50s, and lower numbers here for sure. And just take the next step, because I like Kyler Gordon, but he's definitely not locked down the guy of the future at this point. It's, hey, good starter, can improve. Let's see how he goes through his rookie contract at this point. And that's where Kyler Gordon stands to me. So, and then Greg Stroman really is the backup to him, and that's where I think we need improvement. You're going to see us draft a slot nickel, a slot corner here within the next year or two. You're going to see that being a point we have to improve on. Jalen Jones can play both corner and safety. He's very versatile. I like the improvement he made. You want to see improvement on him again next year. Josh Blackwell's a liability. Get him off the team. These guys are both already off the team. So that's why I have Josh Blackwell as a iffy. Let's see how he improved. And that's the thing, guys. We're talking about these guys right now. We're talking about, okay, how do we fill out the 53-man roster? That's what we're talking about as fans. You look at all these, and I've got really the 48 guys here that are the guys for the roster, and that's including the special teams, but I don't have them listed here. The special teams isn't on this list, but that's including the 3 guys for special teams. And how can you overlook the crocodile punter? Every time I try to do the accent, it's worse, but that's not a knife. This is a knife. Anyways, that's not a punt. This is a punt. I'm going to stop doing it, but I can't. It's so addictive because it's so much fun to have the crocodile punter on the team. So anyways, so we're talking about how we're filling out this 53-man roster and how much it's improved. But really, the other storyline is here. We're going to get into camp. How much work has Josh Blackwell put into it? How much work has Khalid Kareem put into it? Jacob Martin, Greg Stroman. These guys are competing for their careers. They don't take this lightly. They're all competitive. They're all at the top of their caliber. So all these guys want to make it. But some guys, to me, like Elijah Hicks, you see how I put him here? So I put this one above just so it would fit nicely. But here's the cornerbacks, the other corners. And Reddy Stewart, we might do a video on him, guys. Reddy Stewart's someone that's got me a little bit excited as I've been watching more and more tape on the corner. Reddy Stewart. And he could fill that slot nickel role as well. So you can see some fight in camp between him and Greg Stroman, or not for Kyler Gordon. He's an undrafted free agent, but realistically, he can put a little fight up. Iron sharpens iron. So let's see how it goes. But then at safety, Tarvarius Moore, I put him here, but really probably should be Elijah Hicks here. But I'm not happy with Elijah Hicks. Look at the regression there. Both years, the NFL pass rating. Now, your NFL pass rating against the safety position is going to be higher than other positions because you're the last line of defense and you're not following a guy that you're not tracking him. You're having to cover. It's more coverage, so your NFL pass rating is going to be higher. You can see I put receiving percent and turnovers, and down here it's missed tackles. That's the big thing for me is for a safety is a missed tackle percent. You're going to see more turnovers come from the peanut Tillman peanut punch. So you're going to see more turnovers from that there. You see Eddie's numbers went down quite a bit too, but this has me frustrated. An extremely high jump in the missed tackle percentage. He was a liability. Now I get it, guys. I've watched him. I watched the games live, and I've seen good plays by Elijah Hicks. The talent's there. I don't know what it is, but he had a terrible year, and it's really for a couple years. His missed tackles the year before were a lot better, but he had an increased role this year, playing a lot with Eddie Jackson there. And it didn't go well. It really didn't. I mean, you watch plays where he was getting picked on, obviously. I mean, look at that. 158, 153 passer rating against. Yeah, it was bad. He was picked on. I don't remember him ever stopping a pass. Like, it was just a matter of whether he would tackle them afterwards or whether they'd pick up 20 more yards because he wouldn't tackle them. And that's what it was every time I saw Elijah Hicks, getting it thrown towards him. So Kevin Byard is a huge upgrade. Now, this is really a down year for Kevin Byard, his last year. His numbers are historically better than this. So his overall grades, and we can, as we get closer to the season, I am going to do individual group breakdowns as the team gets more set. And I'll show you Kevin Byard's past. Much better year for Kevin Byard in the past, but I don't take that as a negative. I think he's definitely, he switched teams a couple times there, but he's with us too, but he hasn't played for us yet. But anyways, I do see this as a huge upgrade. Jonathan Owens is definitely not a starter quality, but he is a quality. I mean, over Elijah Hicks, huge upgrade. So that's why this is blue. Huge upgrade over Elijah Hicks. So that's what really that comes from. And then Quindale Johnson, very limited role, but played decent. So I see him making the team still. He was an undrafted free agent last year. Well, was he a 7th rounder? We took him from the Rams off their practice squad. So anyways, whatever the case is, he was late. And we ended up stealing him, and I see him making the team as well. So anyways, I'm letting this go long. You guys can pause this if you want to, kind of check that stuff out. I'll scroll through it, pause it if you want to. But this is where the team stands today for me. And I think we're in good shape. Like, I'm really impressed with the roster improvements that Ryan Poles has done. The biggest need right now in the offseason, right there. Defensive end, defensive interior. How's that going to play out in camp? How's it going to work between the team? And then sitting there at center and guard and, not really tackle as much, but center and guard. How are we going to fix this interior? What's the long-term solution at center? And who's going to be that 9th, 10th guy on the roster to make it? So, and then tight end. That's the other one. So that's where we stand with all of this stuff. Hopefully you guys got something from that. This is fun for me to share with you some of the stuff I do. All right. At the end of the day, the team is massively better than it was last year. So we're in great shape. I love the moves Ryan Poles is making. I think there's a lot more to be done, though. So what big signings are coming, we'll see in the next coming weeks. Some of those might hold out right until training camp, right into training camp. You might not see them until August, July-ish. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, especially in the defensive end and tight end positions. But there will be signings to be had. Free Talk Tuesday, episode 9, the roster overview. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. I know it's exciting it's fun to get excited over the undrafted free agents, but the reality is not many of them make it. And when they do, it's usually in a position like linebacker or running back or even backup quarterback sometimes that happens. But really, those guys are undrafted for a reason. So do any of these guys make the roster? Well, yeah, someone probably will somewhere. But more realistically, we'll probably sign another defensive interior or defensive end somewhere, another offensive lineman somewhere, or we might even run it with Jatiri Carter or Larry Borum. Who knows? Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. This one's running, getting close to the hour now, so let's wrap it up. But I do appreciate all you guys tuning in. I think the other thing I didn't mention in the beginning is I'm going to start doing Free Talk Tuesday later on Tuesday. With my girl's schedule, it's not been the most conducive thing to be doing this middle of the night on Monday night, Tuesday morning. So I'm going to probably move that to be a later Tuesday. I'll let you guys know, though, but that'll probably start next week and as we move into the season. Probably be a late Tuesday night, maybe even before midnight drop, so it'll be a Wednesday morning that people hear it. But those things will be things to come, but with my schedule, that's more conducive, so we might be switching some things up. But this roster will be massively better than last year, which automatically should make us a 9, 10, 11, 12 team. Team is greatly improved, so everyone should be excited to be a Bears fan. Great things coming. And I need to share this more often for all of you Bear dads and family people out there. Pride and joy of my life, so I'm going to share it more often. To all of you, thanks for tuning in, and until next time, have a good one, everyone.